How's it going, everyone? This is Wimbo. Today, I'm pretty excited for all of you guys because I'm going to produce another case study for you all. Some of you already seen this image on my Instagram, and a couple of people really want to know how did I model this headphone and in Blender. So in this case study, it's going to be a little bit complicated, but it's involved quite a bit of steps in order to achieve this final render. So I'm going to break down this case study into several videos. So I hope you guys all enjoy learning that and pick some skills that or tips that you often not using it. Let's get started. Let's pull over a brand new Blender file. So we are going to use a reference image. This model actually, this headphone actually is just the Apple. I think it's called AirPod Max. So that's the actual type of headphone. So we just changing the materials and the color a little bit to make it look different. So we can do Shift A to start with adding an empty, and we'll go to the image to start our reference image. Without doing anything, you can see here is a small pop out window. We're gonna change that to facing to the view, and then we're gonna go to that data, object data properties, and then we're gonna load in a reference image. Okay, and reference image, we're gonna go with that front. Okay, so we have a reference image in here. So what we can do here, we can just drag this thing up, hold on Z, just kind of positioning right here. And next thing we are going to go with, we're gonna adding another reference image, but we want to put it on the side. In order to making sure all these images align the best way can be, I did some Photoshop work to get the white part out. So you can always kind of change opacity, you can change it around to make it look easily to see when we actually start working on our mesh. So then we're gonna go to the side view. So before that, we want to actually hold Shift D, duplicate it, and hit the right click and to put it back. And now we're gonna go to the top view, or hit R to rotate it while you're holding Shift key, so we can rotate it 90 degrees right here. So in this way, on the side view is right view, so it still looks pretty nice and well positioned. So that actually gonna help us to when we actually model the mesh, is gonna make it much easier. All we need to do next is just changing the reference image. Okay, and let's go back to find the reference image again. Side view. Okay, so it can be positioned, but we probably need to do a little bit adjustment in order to making sure this thing's align in the center. So hit a G and hit Y, and just gonna adjust that a little bit. Cool. So we have this front view and side view. And next thing, we are going to need to have a top view. When I look down here, so we want to know how the thing looks from the other side. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to do a Shift A, do the same thing again, image, and then we're going to load it up the top view image, that reference image that we have. For this part, actually, is pretty important to start with, and I will actually put all these reference image in the under the description, so you have all access of that. So with that, the challenges on these reference images, because we don't know how big the thing's supposed to be. When we're actually making these reference image, we can just know the general height is supposed to be matched, right? This height is supposed to match the overall length. That's all we need, all we know. And for this side view, I don't know how big this thing is. I don't know where it actually is supposed to start. But what we can do here, we are actually going to start modeling part of this mesh, and then to having existing one, and then we're adjusting the reference image accordingly. That'll be the best way when you're dealing with reference image and really trying to get everything positioning as accurate as can be. Okay, now we can finally just we can group this thing and hit M. So just reference so we can put it into one single folder. Okay, cool. then we can do just adding a mesh to start working on start modeling this object. So for this particular object, a lot of time I really hoping all of you guys to think to learn the skills of solving problem. As you can see here, these are pretty like it's a headphone, so each side of it looks identical almost. Although this model has something different, this one has a button, this one doesn't have. So we will get into that when we're actually modeling the whole thing. So start with on side view is pretty easier to start with. As you can see here, it's just kind of like the headphone set and then go to the bridge. So what we want is starting to model this part, and then we can actually start working on the rest of these. So let's go to the side view. And this looks like a cylinder, right? But you notice that these two parts are actually separating from one big cylinder go to the side. This is basically more like a curve. So when we're dealing with these type of things, we can be very smart. This is a cylinder, but it's a curve. How can we make this shape? So what we can do here, we can just add a circle and Shift A to add a circle. And then we can cut off certain part of it, and then we can actually make it easier to model. Let's go with circle, and then we're gonna go to the view part, and then we can use, I think 18 should be enough vertices, and we're gonna scale it down here, and we're gonna move this thing up. Grab the Z, come up here, and scale it down. We're trying to match this curve and we're not using a curve, we're using a circle and mesh. So that's kind of something that I want you to be aware, that we're trying to save a lot of work by just using a existing circle, so we can actually do a lot of cool stuff with that without really kind of doing one by one. So we can select this part, and then just hit X and delete it. And then now you are thinking, yeah, Wimbo, this is not something that seems making sense. But the next thing we want to do is we're actually going to change this mesh to a curve in order to using the bevel features. And in there, let me show you how. So next thing we want to do, right click, we want to convert to curve. So after I did that, you see there's a curve. I think it's called object data properties. So we can actually do something wild, because this is right now, this is a curve, is no longer a mesh. So next thing we are going to go to the geometry. We are going to the bevel, and since right now we're selecting the part as a round, so when we're actually dragging the depth, it's actually become a tube, right? You see. Look at that, it's a tube. It's exactly the shape that we wanted to have. We just want to making sure that the size is really matching what we're trying to achieve. So again, the reference image is always going to be just a reference image. I really don't want you guys to think too much like super precisely. If you really want to do the precise modeling, then you will need to spend a lot of time to do that, perfecting the details. Again, these tutorials are serving the purpose of showing you how to do it, but it's not really seeing how I work on that on tiny bit details. Anyway, so we have that. Mesh coming in, so we can actually to get some resolution. I think should be fine. 5 should be pretty nice and smooth. And next thing we want to do, we want to extend this part and go down there as a cylinder shape. So what we can do here, we are just going to select this to convert this curve into a mesh again in order to do editing. So because if I hit tab, go to the edit mode, it doesn't allow you to select the faces and then go down here. So we have to convert it back. So convert it to a mesh. So after did that, so now you can see we have faces we can actually select. We can do something about it. So what we can do here, we're just going to hit number 3 and to select the faces. I think should be fine with having these as well. So yes, we're selecting part of this face. So we are going to extrude, hit E and Z, and we're just gonna extrude some of that in here. and scale it down. And also same time, as you can see here, we're trying to getting some shapes, but this is actually a circle, a cylinder when you actually see this. So we're trying to getting something a cylinder, but we want to slowly to build that transitions around here. So grab Z up here, and the E and Z continue here and scale it down. At the same time, we want to have this thing a little bit flat, SZ0. So I can see here, this is actually one single flat unit down here. So and E and Z down here a little bit, tiny bit. But without that, as you can see here, it's like a cylinder, a rectangular. I don't know. Is that not the shape that that the model is supposed to be? So we have to use different techniques to utilizing this as a circle. So we can do that and right click loop tool, so we can do a circle with that. So this add-on is add-on. So you need to go to the edit preference. You need to go to the add-on and to actually enable the loop tool. Make sure you enable that in order to have a right click to having that menu. Anyway, so as you can see here, this is what we got, but it's actually make it look too big. And another thing we wanted to do is we wanted to making sure the things need transitioning properly. So we need to fix some geometry issues going on here. So we need to grab these and that. I think we can grab both sides. I just go to the X-ray mode and let's do that. Scale it back. So let's do that. Scale it back. It's a small, tiny thing to it's kind of take time, but it's a pretty critical process that you need making sure you're doing it right. Okay, so I still see here this entire loop. This is not really a circle, so we want to get something problem solved. Let's try the circle. If I can actually make it better. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So we just need to making sure this part looks a little bit smooth. So we can select this side and scale X-ray, XE. So to get that, let's go to side view. So there's something going wrong with it, but it's okay. We can actually fix that. We just need to spend some time to get it right. Okay, cool. So now, because this part it looks okay, but this loop is too small, so we will actually need to scale it up. And just make the whole thing fit better. And I've noticed that my model, actually my mesh is inside of it, in the center of it, but it doesn't look, it seems like the reference image is a little bit off. So what I'm going to do next, I'm gonna actually select the reference image to move to the right hand a tiny bit. Why? Yeah, just trying to match that. And then as you can see here, this is still a problem right here. So I'm going to do something about it. Yeah, the whole point is trying to making sure this is become a smooth transitions going on here. So I think I can do something a little bit better around here. See, and also because this is they're the exactly same from left and right, we can actually use a mirror modifier to model this thing. Once we've figure out one side looks good, so we don't need to model both sides. Let me grab that. Maybe add another loop cut. So again, these are just problem solving time, trying to getting things lined up the way that looks the best it can be. So far I think we are actually getting a pretty good model of this, and then we can do a quick shade smooth. It seems like getting the stuff that I want. What I can do here, I can quickly just select this side of vertices. We can delete that and then build that, and in order to making sure the both side looks exactly the same. So I can do that. Just hit X vertices and adding a mirror modifier. Just based on the name, you know, it's actually mirroring both sides. So it's actually going to mirror, I believe, the XE, but it doesn't seem like it's working for what reason. Let me see. Yes, so it's actually going to using a Z accurate. I believe there's something going wrong with the origin, but right now, whatever it works now. So we are just going to making sure this thing is managing clips, and we can we are going to apply this modifier. Then we're gonna have the vertices fixed. Okay, so the both sides is gonna look exactly the same. So now it's time to actually let us to go back to here. So we're gonna continue model this. So we are going to move this whole thing, this mesh, grab X and to match this part. From this is what it looks like from the front view, and we are going to grab in here. We're trying to align with that guy. But from side view, there's nothing changed because we're looking from this angle, still looks good. Okay, so let's see. Let's grab that. Yeah. So double G to slide it. I just want to make it look a little bit better. Double G to slide in. Double G to slide it in. Yeah, again, if you really want to make this thing looks exactly the same from both sides, you still can do another mirror modifiers to change that to making sure both sides looks great. But for me, as long as it's working and you know how to do that or use it, the purpose of this tutorial is good. Okay. All right, cool. So now we are going to continue model the rest of these. That'll be pretty simple, right? So we can just go to the X-ray mode, Alt Z, and select vertices here, and hit G to grab it, and hit Z just down here. And this is actually become another part of this guy. So on the side view, I believe this is what we got here. We are try to matching the reference image with the side view. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. So once I figure out we are starting from side view. Once the thing's built, we can actually kind of adjusting the other reference image, trying to making sure they're looking good. So from my perspective, I think the height looks about the same. We don't need to do anything here yet. We are going to fix that later once we build the entire one with some simple form modifier with it. Okay, cool. So now we are going to do the next thing. We're gonna continue to bridge this top part. So let's do that. Let's go to the X-ray mode, select the whole thing. We are going to build a little bit longer, because we are going to extend in this whole thing, and also adding quite a bit of vertices. So I just simply adding some vertices that looks about good. So that's 9. So again, on this side, I'm gonna do although it's 8, but then we can do that, change to 9. So each side are going to be matched. So the next thing we are going to do here, we are going to actually bridge this whole thing. By doing that is we are going to use a simple deform modifier to kind of bend this thing to here, and then adding another mirror modifier to match the both sides. So let's start with the simple modifier, simple deform. Let's go with that. And then we can actually in order to control it better, so we can do bend. In order to control it better, we can have actually empty object to really bending this whole thing accordingly. So we're going to do a Shift A to add a empty, and we can just grab it in here and scale it down, and hit F2 to rename it. We can just do bending empty. So for that, so when we click this, we can actually just control the origin to the bending empty. And at the same time, for this one, because we did a lot of modifying and a bunch of stuff, let me turn off this temporarily. We want to making sure this item actually to apply all these transformations. So I'm going to do Control A to apply all the scales and rotations or all transforms. So that actually going to help us later on. So okay, here, so and also same times I probably wanting to, I think this thing's origin is already in here, and the origin is in the 3D cursor. So let's try how things works. So let me turn this thing on. So we are going to bend this, I think it's X, right? So we're gonna do, so right now when I increase the numbers, it's actually bending that way, and that's not what we want. That's not what we want either. So that's not what we want either at all. So let's see, I think what we can do here, we probably need to fix this origin thing issues. I believe when you actually bending these both things, we need the best of practices. We are utilizing the same origin to as a bending point. So what we can do here is to select this empty and hit Shift S to let the cursor to select it. So right now cursor is here. So next thing we're going to select this items, the mesh we model. We hit Shift S to do to actually set origin to the 3D cursor. So we setting origin to here. So let's see what we can, things gonna change or not. And let's do not X, certainly. So it seems like we're actually bending to the Y, but we are bending the wrong angle. So we are actually going to do that, right? But now, as you can see here, this is kind of a way off. Another trick that we can use, we can just grab this bending origin or this empty, so we can just do that accordingly. So we can do X, trying to get something right, and then we can also adjusting the effect of the thing. Okay, so that's take a while to really see how things works in our perspective. So let's see if I can get that right. It seems like it's kind of have a pretty far things to go. So I'm going to try to set this item's origin to the water or origin right here. So let me try it again. So Shift S to send the cursor to water origin, and then this one, I'm going to set the origin to 3D cursor again. So now let's see this. X. Grab a Y. See, does it make sense? Yes, it's okay. And let's see. This is kind of a painful time to figure out how to get the thing properly correct. See that? That's not very good. So what I can do here, I actually want to close the bending empty. Let's do that, and maybe remove this thing up here. So see this. Do it again, maybe from this angle, because earlier was in here. So whatever you bend it, I want to kind of bend it around this area. So let's see how it looks like. So if I'm moving this thing, okay, or grab it up and down, so that's going to make a change. It's okay. It was okay. And then for this guy, if I can do that more, okay, it's still not going on very well. Okay, so I think I see what's going on here. So basically, I think see, we're here. So this side is looking good. So hit Control 2. Let's do a subsurface modifier, and I'm gonna adding some loop cut in here. I believe because we didn't have enough geometry in here, so it's actually causing some problem here. Let's see what we got, and then we're gonna add another simple deform, which is the right here. So we're gonna do the X-ray bend and Y. So we are going to go to the other side. So let's see, that looks much better, a little bit natural. So now I'm actually manipulating this part a little bit better. Let's see. Yes, see, you can see that. So now it started making sense. Yes, it's quite a bit. So this is just kind of the thing that we can help to control the bending. So next thing, I believe we probably need to make this thing is a little bit longer. So we're actually gonna select that top part and to do hit G and Z to grab it a little bit longer, and adding a couple more loop cut. Loop cut. Okay, cool. So adding both sides of loop cut, and then we are going to have another mirror modifier put in here. So we're trying to met each other in the center. Okay, so we certainly want to hit the clip of thing like that. So next thing we want to do, we want to kind of still making sure this bending effect looks properly nice like that. Yes. Oh, this is fitting exactly perfect. So, but having that Z, so seems like there's some overlap. So probably I'm going to cut off certain geometries. Hit X, vertices, and yes, so we still have a tiny gap in here. So we can do here is we select the both. We're gonna hit grab Z up to kind of match each other. Okay, seems like we having some little bit trouble again, just because the length of that. So yeah, this is perfect angle right here. As you can see that it matches the curve, but the problem is that it's a little bit too long. So we are going to select both sides and grab it, hit G, Z to grab it. Anyway, so if that be the case, I can fix the vertices later on when I after apply the simple deform modifier, so we can actually have that as one thing. So what I can do here, I don't want to do the subsurface service modifier now. What I can do here, I'm just going to actually to making sure this deform tab is being properly applied. So the good habit is always going to be Shift D. I'm actually Shift D, and then to make it as a backup. So hit M to adding a new collections, and you can do just backup. Put that, we can close that. Yeah, I know it's just that tiny bit part is take quite a while to model, but that's always the thing like that. So we're gonna hit apply. So after doing that, so something that we can change, we can just grab this vertex because we still have the mirror modifier turned on. So and also making sure you check the clipping, so we can just grab that, and once this we got snatch, and then we're good. We can let it go. So now we have pretty nice connections going on here, and now we can just continue working on this part along the way. And next thing, we can even adding another subsurface modifier, hit the Control 2, so you quickly have subdivision with 2, so it looks much nice and smoother. We can do a shade smooth going on here. So now this part is pretty much done and pretty nicely connected. That was the most difficult part, I would say. And then the next thing is, because we did some simple modifying, so we have changed the shape a little bit. And as you can see here, these are no longer really matched to the top part. That's okay. And also I'm noticing this is references image is matching this side, but is no longer match the other side. So we need to do some minor adjustment to really kind of getting this properly. So grab a Z and trying to getting things done here. And of course, so from both sides, I just need extending this part also in order to match this part along the way. So as again, reference image is just a reference image to give you a pretty general shape, but for the very precise modeling, that's need to be more. You need to have very specific measurement to measurement in order to achieve that the best result it can be. But you know what I'm saying. Grab and Z here, we can do that. Control R to do this. So we have something extended in here, and it looks like, oh, it seems like perfect match. So good, that's good. So we have this thing done. The next thing will be, this is kind of a texture or a cloth texture in here, and has certain patterns over here. So we wanted to bridge between these two. So now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to using some existing vertices to kind of geometries in order to work that. So without that, I actually want to adding one more loop cut in here, just make it looks a little bit more even and smooth. So what I can do here, I can just select. I think this should be right. Yeah, hold Alt and click, and we have selecting this entire loop here. So Shift D to duplicate it, and right click and hit P and to select separate the selection. Now you see another circle right here in here. So we're gonna hit the tap mode and tap it out. This is actually the bounding areas right here. So next thing we are going to do, we are going to creating this face utilizing this vertex. So we are going to do next is we're gonna go to the slash key on the number keypad. We're gonna go to a local view, and then we're gonna hit tab to see all these vertices in here. In order to really work on this side, the best way is we actually going to apply the mirror modifier and to start working on that Otherwise, we will not be able to have that. So now we have these now. So in here, our goal is trying to making sure this thing get filled and also have a really nice grid going on in order to achieve the best look. So what I can do here typically is just select the whole entire vertex, hit F, and you can see this is pretty terrible, especially when we're having the subdivision service modifier turned on. So I'm going to temporarily uncheck it. And you can see here, this is kind of the big ngong that you can possibly got. So what we can do here is, after we having this ngong, either we can using a J key to kind of like cut it through way, or we just don't do this way to fill this entire one at first. So what we can do here, we are going to, I'll select that. I'm thinking maybe we can just do one side and do here. Select these 4 vertices, hit F, and then we can select this one edge and continue to hit F and let it to start filling. And then we probably gonna save these. We probably gonna utilizing these to do another kind of like across edge to kind of do the cut in that way. So let's do this side. Select these 4 vertices, hit F, and just select these 2 and hit F to kind of fill the thing up. And now we can stop here right here. So basically we can do select this thing as ngong. So we have select the entire thing, hit F, and this thing F. This is the best way to do that, because once we have this big face, we can do a lot of stuff to kind of join that, cut it. So select these both and hit J. It's automatically going to cut through all these vertices and creating the points of the vertices. And now that's what we want. We want to maintain that shape and join that. So this part, I'm not going to connect that because I'm thinking these have the similar number. Oh yeah, we can do that. I just have a triangle on very side, on the edge of it, so it should be fine. Hit J to do that, and then I'm doing this way. Continue J, and J, and both these 2, J. Okay, so with that, now you have see it's a pretty nice and curved shape that we wanted to have in our part. Remember, we did one big fill or F. That's actually is not coming out the shape like this. So we can do that. If we want to turn on the subdivision modifier, looks pretty nice and smooth, right? So we can go back, hit the slash key, coming back. Now we have something going on here. Very nice, don't you think? Yeah, but problem is you're seeing this actually, this part, this mesh actually bend inside, so actually have some sort of curve. So what we can do next, we're gonna go to the side view, we're gonna go to the tap mode, hit the Z here. We are going to do some editing in order to achieve this curve right here. And let's go. I'm selecting the entire loops in the center, so I'm just gonna drag this whole thing down here. But at the same time, I want having all these areas select or to be properly maintained with on the edge. So what we can do is best way, especially when we're using proportion editing, we want to maintain the edge on there. So what I can do here, I'm just going to select this entire edge loops and including these 2, these, and hit H to hide them. Right, so hide them. Then when I'm using proportion editing tools, that is not it will no longer affecting on that. So let's select this loop again. Go to side view, and hit Alt Z to active mode. We are going to hit O, or you can just turn this thing on, and we can just drag the thing. And at the same time, we can scroll in our mouse to kind of changing the proportion editing to the correct size. We can just drag it down, but you are starting noticing this shape curve doesn't look that good compared to what we want. We probably need to change that from smooth to the sphere, I believe. Let's try that. Okay, let's do a quick pause. Well, actually, if someone kind of delivered, let's see what we can do here. So once we select this, we actually change to the sphere. So we are going to grab this thing, whole thing, and hit the Z. And yes, that's kind of the shape that I was intended to have. So we can have something like this to achieve this look. And now we tap it out. As you can see here, something going on here. And also I'm going to drag this whole thing, grabbing Z to up tiny bit. It's not that strong, and also it lets me hold Alt H and hide the vertices. So we are actually have something in here. Looks okay. Shift hit shade smooth, hit that. We are having something right here. So let me temporarily turn off the reference image. Take a look. Yeah, it's not too shabby, but this part is something that I don't think this looks good, but we can certainly fix that smoothness over here. Then we can do this. Let's go to reference, and then we are going to X-ray mode. We can just select this top vertex here, and we can grab that. Or we can just change that this way. Select that, grab it, double G to slide it up, double G to slide it up. Yes. So let's see how it goes. A little bit better. A little bit better. Okay. And same thing here. Select that, or select these three and turn off the proportion editing. I'm just gonna double G to grab it, slide it in, double G, yes, and just select this part, double G. Yeah, see, that's much better and smoother than this side. So what I can do here, I'm actually can duplicate it both sides using a mirror modifier to do that. So let's go to the edit mode and X-ray mode. I'm just going to select this part. See this? Okay. And let's do delete it. And go to the mirror modifier right here to actually do that. Let's do X, yes, X vertices. So we actually having this on both sides. We can just add in one side to work everything, sort everything out. Let's see this. See, that looks okay. Why I'm keep going to back to here? But in order to have that, one issue that we want to move this mirror modifier up to here. Otherwise, they're gonna apply subsurface modifier first and then do the mirror. So we are going to actually change that. So we're gonna move the thing up here and making sure there's only do that and do clipping. Everything nice. We should be fine with what we have here. So this is pretty nice. Actually this considered the most difficult part of this modeling is because the curve involved and then also all these adding these faces, and it's been almost an hour. So I want to making sure that we are utilize our time probably for this part of modeling. They are done, and I will continue finish this entire modeling, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much.